if you're listening to this, it is because I'm unfortunately not allowed to give this speech in school because of a little something called coronavirus. Now, I'm sure everyone listening to this speech knows what coronavirus is, but I doubt everyone listening to this speech knows what martial law is. Typically, martial law is enacted whenever a country is in great crisis and needs proper guidance from their occupying power. Now, defining martial law specifically in the U.S., the Merriam-Webster defines it as a law applied in a territory by the military rule that is already in place. Now, this is a big decision for countries to be enacted. Places such as the U.S., which don't have a lot of military interaction in our daily lives, this is a big change, and I just want you to imagine what would change in our life compared to what we do now, or better, what we did before this disease. There's a reason why this is being talked about. It's a much worsening condition than previously had thought. Currently, there are over 300, as of March 21st, when this was written, there were 323 deaths in the U.S. There are now over 47,000 dead in the world. That's a pretty significant number. Now, in an article, Will Corona Lead to Martial Law, written on March 18th, 2020, they talk about the government and specific military tactics being used to stop martial law, or to stop coronavirus, and why that could be useful, and how that could, potentially be a benefit for us. Now, worldwide, there are over 2 million confirmed cases. A little over 2.5 million, actually, as compared to March when this was written. There was less than 1 million. Our country is defined by life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, that was in our 1776 Declaration of Independence. Some of those rights must be sacrificed right now in a time of crisis such as this. Now, many people would be upset about this, but it's needed to stop the virus from spreading. It's killing plenty of people. Now, to continue, I want to talk about the current U.S. state with coronavirus and why martial law is important. Currently, coronavirus is in every single U.S. state: Georgia, North Carolina, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. Now, there's a reason I said all those states. All of those states border Tennessee, and that poses an issue with border control. Granted, we could be great in our social distancing and practices to stop the virus, but those people traveling in between Tennessee could easily give it to us. That's where the border issue comes in. Now, to switch gears a little bit, let's compare the virus to the last pandemic the U.S. had in 1918, the swine flu. The H1N1, the original flu, not swine flu of 2009. Over 500,000 U.S. civilians died. Now, the 47,000 we have currently is quite a different number compared to that in 1918. 500,000 seems very outlandish, but it is possible. To relate a little bit to you all, the reason why I am personally for this is because of my mother. She has an autoimmune disease, and if she were to get this virus for any reason, from stores, from people, from me, it would more than likely end in her death. And that's why I'm choosing to give up some of those liberties that are so important to many people right now, because it will lead to the health of loved ones and help our country. Now I'm going to talk about the rapid increase of the virus and some of the history behind it. There's been a media hysteria starting with this virus. People are hoarding everything, buying everything. There's been kind of a panic since January. Martial law would actually help stop this by enacting rules of when people can leave, changing store times, amount people can buy of certain items, toilet paper, things like this, hand sanitizer, things like that. That would be very useful for us. I'm also going to tell a story the CNN posted in March, of James Vigil, who's 53 in West Virginia. He is a dad of 3, and West Virginia was the last state to be infected with coronavirus. He was unfortunately patient 0. Now, the issue with this is he could have been helped much sooner, but because West Virginia was the last state, they didn't take him to the doctor because they didn't think, oh, no way, he can get it. We're in West Virginia, they're fine. And probably ended up infecting a lot more people instead of just going to get helped. This can relate to a lot of us because it's so easy to get infected. So it's extremely common. Now, there is an article from the Wall Street Journal called Controlling the Virus Narrative. It claims facts over hysteria and that it's all media hysteria. This is blown out of proportion. We don't need anything like that. But it ended up getting taken down, thankfully. We need to do more to help the virus than just social distancing. Martial law would help that. Martial law would allow us to flatten the curve, stop hoarders, bring peace. We are currently living in a history book. Would you continue life normal with your friends at the expense of loved ones? I know I wouldn't. And no matter what, it should be stopped.